The good news is mortgage interest rates are down again this week. Hi, I'm Bob.Woolverton. I'm with Pure Real Estate in Bellevue, Washington. Here on YouTube, I'm known as your Northwest Realty Advisor. When we come back in 8 seconds, I'll give you a real estate market update on both a national level and a local level. I'll see you in 8 seconds. So let's start with the average mortgage rate. It's down again, which is good news for the real estate market. Last Thursday's survey showed the national average for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage was down to 4.41%, still a 9-month low. The previous week it was at 4.46% and was at 4.45% the 2 weeks before that. So this is all good news for the affordability topic of real estate. Now, when we talk about affordability, that leads us to the upcoming spring housing market. I love this quote from the Chief Economist at the Mortgage Bankers Association because he really is saying exactly what I think. The spring home buying season is almost upon us, and if rates stay lower, inventory continues to grow, and the job market maintains its strength, and we have a really strong job market here in Seattle, we do expect to see a solid spring market. So get everything out of your head that you're nervous about with what's taking place in the market right now. I do think we're going to see a solid spring market. First off, we talked about housing supply. And we can see with this chart here that in the last 12 months, 6 of those months, inventory was up year over year. And 1 month, it basically broke even at 0. So we're really building inventory. And that's a good sign. This takes us into a more normal market, which, like I said in last month's market report, that's exactly what we'd been hoping for. Mortgage rates right now are at the same level they were last spring, say last March, last April. And that's good news too. They had gone up and pretty dramatically toward the end of the year, and that slowed up a lot of the home buying process. This chart here shows the interest rate at 4.46%. Now that was early last week, and like I said at the beginning of this segment, last Thursday's report at Freddie Mac showed interest rates are down to 4.41%. So I think going into spring, with the inventory that we have, with the interest rates where they are, with the economy and the job sector doing as well as it's doing, I really do believe that we're going to have a very strong spring. And so does the chief economist at Zillow. He said, there are strong reasons to believe that the housing market is more responsive to changes in interest rates than it has been in the past, accelerating when rates drop and slowing when rates rise. Mortgage rates hit 7-year highs in November, but then fell back in December. If they remain low during the early months of 2019, the housing market could see a modest reacceleration. Now let's talk about appreciation. We expect to continue to see a slowing in appreciation rates, but I don't want you to worry that prices are falling. Last month I showed you a chart of what all the experts are projecting moving forward regarding appreciation rates, and all the numbers were positive, and that hasn't changed. As a matter of fact, Arch Mortgage Insurance looked at the entire country by state and created this graphic regarding the probability of home prices being lower within the next 2 years. As you can see, there is only one state, and that's Alaska, that has a moderate risk of home prices being lower within the next 2 years. Washington is listed on this map as minimal risk of home prices being lower in the next 2 years. So when you hear or see headlines saying prices are dropping, make sure you read the article. Probably what the article is saying is that appreciation is decelerating, not that we're heading into depreciation. And it's important that we understand the difference. Part of that equation that drives appreciation or depreciation will be the demand for housing. Check out this quote from NerdWallet. 32% of all Americans plan to purchase a home in the next 5 years, and 49% of millennials are most likely to buy a home in the next 5 years. Millennials have been sitting on the sideline for a long time now, worried about the ups and downs in the market and affordability, etc. And it's expected that as we go forward, that is going to change. Now, there's an urban legend or fake news out there that we've got to change. And that is the belief that apparently by as much as 49% of all renters is that you must have a 20% down payment to buy a home. That simply is not true. You can buy a home with 10%, 5%, even 3% down. And if you're a veteran, as little as 0% down. So we as an industry have to get the message out there. A 20% down payment is nice, and it avoids having to pay private mortgage insurance, but it should not be a roadblock to getting on the path of building wealth through home ownership. Next week, I'll post a video about this 20% down payment myth. Now, let's take a moment and talk about home affordability. One way to measure the impact of inflation, mortgage rates, and home prices on affordability over time is to use what we call the typical mortgage payment. It's a mortgage rate adjusted monthly payment based on each month's U.S. median home sale price. This is the national median home sale price. It's calculated using Freddie Mac's average rate on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage with a 20% down payment. The typical mortgage payment is a good proxy for affordability because it shows the monthly amount that a borrower would have to qualify for to get a mortgage to buy the median priced U.S. home. When adjusted for inflation, the typical mortgage payment puts home buyers' current cost in the proper historical context, so when we try to decide if homes are more affordable now or less affordable than they were historically, this is a good measure to evaluate. This graph was created by CoreLogic, and it indicates on a national level the most recent calculation remained 28% below the all-time peak of $1,275 in June 2006. That's because the average mortgage rate at the time was 6.68%. As seen in the graph, both today's typical payment and CoreLogic's projection for the end of the year are less than it was in January of 2000. So based upon the historical comparison, and yes, prices seem to be really comparatively high, but when you look at the comparison, home affordability, adjusted for inflation, is still really good. Now let's look at the local real estate market. Region-wide, which is the 23 counties served by the Northwest Multiple Listing Service, when we compare January 2018 to January of 2019, we saw a 5.06% increase in the median price of homes. This includes single-family homes, condos, and new construction. During that same time, King County almost remained flat with a $500 decrease in the median home price compared to the same period last year, and Snohomish County saw a 2% increase. Other outlying areas in our region saw higher increases as people are willing to move further away from Seattle to find lower housing prices. Now, let's compare the affordability factor using the same example of the CoreLogic chart we saw a few moments ago. The average interest rate last January was 4.32%, whereas this January it's a little higher at 4.41%. You can see the median monthly payment increased region-wide by 6.17%, for King County by less than 1%, and for Snohomish County it increased by 3.08%. However, the Consumer Price Index for last year showed we had a CPI inflator of 3.11% for the Seattle, Tacoma, Bellevue area. When we calculate the inflation deflator, region-wide, home affordability comparisons were 2.87% higher. King County actually decreased by 2.15%, and Snohomish County was nearly flat at minus 0.12%. So when we compare January to January, King County actually became more affordable as adjusted for inflation, and Snohomish County remained nearly flat. As I said earlier, if mortgage rates continue to be low or get even lower, and inventory continues to grow and the job market stays strong, which every indicator I see right now says the job market will stay strong, we should have a strong housing market this spring. I hope you found value in today's video. If you did, click that subscribe button now and click the reminder bell so you'll be notified when I post new videos. If you liked today's video, give it a thumbs up. That's feedback to me that I'm giving you information of value. And last but not least, please share this link with someone you know who can benefit from the information on this YouTube channel. You can find my email address and my telephone number in the video description below. Call me or email me. I would love to hear from you. I'm Bob.Woolverton. I'm with Pure Real Estate in Bellevue, Washington. Here on YouTube, I'm known as your Northwest Realty Advisor. Every week, I post new videos about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, as well as some home tours and listing videos. I'll see you next week.